Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors. This is my YouTube channel and podcast, helping other people evolve. Today, I have the beautiful Natalie with me. How are you today, Natalie?
I am great. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I am so excited to have you on here. Now, you're in Orlando, you said?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Right outside of Orlando.
Nice. And how's the weather down there right now?
Hot.
Hot. Yeah.
It is hot and humid today. It's supposed to be storming all week, but it's been more humid than storming.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that humidity down there, I know, because we get the humidity up here in Michigan, and I was out in Arizona for a while, and there's no humidity out there. It's such a different heat. People don't believe it, but it really
Yeah.
is.
I
So,
lived in Michigan too, and they had humidity, but it is nothing. It's not. Florida's its own ballgame.
yes, exactly. So I came across Natalie here on Facebook. I always tell everybody God has a way of putting people in my life for this podcast. I've been blessed by so many stories of hope. And Natalie, as I tell everyone, once I'm your friend, you're stuck with me. So welcome
No
to my
worries.
friendship.
I'm
So
okay with that.
yes, me too. I love having new friends, and positive and encouraging friends is just, such a light in the world. And that's what I've been watching Natalie's story. And she has a very powerful story. So for those of you that don't know what my mission and vision with Hope is just to help people that feel like they're struggling all by themselves. In this world, especially today, since 2020 on, there's so many people that are at home and they feel like their struggles are alone. They are so alone in this world. And there's so many stories of hope out there. There's so many of us that unfortunately have gone through struggles, but fortunately through God, that's how I've gotten to where I'm at. He gets us to a place of strength. I always tell everybody, whatever it is you believe, God, the universe, whatever it is, man, grasp a hold of that. But listen to Natalie's story today, or listen to Kim's story that I did the other day. Maybe that story will get you out of bed today, and you can walk outside and take a deep breath and be like, man, if Tammy got through that, if Natalie got through that, maybe I can just get through today. And honestly, if you can just get through today, then we have tomorrow to get through.
That's right.
So today I have Natalie. I came across your post, I don't know, it was probably about 6 or 7 weeks ago, about a struggle that you had gone through, and how you've gotten to a strength and where you're at today. So Natalie, I guess I don't really know a lot of your story. So if we'll just start wherever you want to start, wherever God's leading you, and let's just share some hope with some people.
Okay, so I think that I'm not sure, but I think the post that you may be talking about was that I had hit 5 years since I had attempted suicide.
Yes, that was exactly it.
Okay. And so that was a very big deal, because I remember being in the darkness and I didn't realize it at the time, but I was definitely a drug addict. I did not know, really, I wasn't aware of that at that moment in time.
Okay.
But I definitely wasn't following God. I was following the world and trying to do everything out of my own strength. And it came down to, like, I lost my job and I was in a relationship that was not a good relationship. And when I lost my job, it was like that was the only thing that I felt like I had a purpose. And so I had I have children, and so it was like, how am I going to take care of my children? Oh my gosh. And I had fallen into a depression, and I didn't realize it, and I attempted suicide. And I attempted suicide twice in about a 2-week period of time. And so by the grace of God, I'm sitting here, okay, because the second attempt, I got brain damage. I had nerve damage. I have a disc in my neck that is bulging. Like, it was really bad. So I was actually in a facility for about 10 days before I kind of, like, you could say the fog lifted, but it really didn't, because my mom came and got me, and she basically had to reteach me everything. I mean, like, down to, I had a motion detector in my room because she was afraid that I would get up in the middle of the night and fall and hurt myself. Like, I would have to raise my hand to go to the bathroom, and it would set off an alarm, and she would come and get me. So, it was like, that was a big moment that, wow, like 5 years ago, I could not be sitting here. I could not be talking to you. I could not be doing any of the things that I was doing. And I did go through heavy drug addiction after that. Heavy, because I wasn't mentally correct. Okay. Like, I was off the drugs when I went through the facility. Obviously I didn't have access to them.
Right.
And then when I came out, I did do therapy. I did things like that, but I had not had not found what I needed yet. And
Mm,
so I went through a really bad, heavy drugs. Like I should not be sitting here on that either. So to hit that 5 year mark of like, wow, God, 5 years ago, I couldn't be having this conversation with you because I couldn't even get words out. Like it was very short sentences, and I would have like a meltdown because I could not talk to you.
mm,
I couldn't tell you the thought in my head. I could see the words, but I couldn't tell you the thought.
mm.
So yeah, that's kind of like my backstory. So I mean, I've been to rehab multiple times. I'm not opposed to rehab. They definitely have things that work for people, but for me, everything changed when I decided to move to Florida.
Okay.
I decided to move to Florida. My husband had been in contact with the pastor for several years. The pastor asked us, "Hey, move to Florida." And my husband came to me with the idea, and I'm like, if God is calling me somewhere, I'm not going to be the one to tell him no. Like I definitely wasn't where I'm at now, but I was like, I'm not going to tell God no. Like I'm still here living and breathing. Okay,
Right.
we're going. And
Yeah.
so we really didn't like know what we were coming into. Like we were invited here to come live with the pastors and help at their church and help with their ministry. And so we came into it thinking, oh, like we've got everything figured out.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right.
We're great. And so like looking back now, because it's been almost 2 years since we moved here, we were so broken and we didn't even know it.
Mm,
Like we
mm.
thought we had it all together. And it was like now looking back, it's like, wow, God. And like that to me, I know different people have their own beliefs. But to me, when I actively chose to start serving God and serving people, it that's where all my healing came from. Like the very first verse that the pastors gave us when we moved here was rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. And I'm like, I don't get what he's saying. And now like that's my foundation verse. No matter what is coming, no matter what battle is in front of me, whatever I'm facing, I'm going to rejoice in the Lord because he is worthy of rejoicing, regardless of how I feel or whatever. And that's where my strength comes from is the word and and God. Like that's what it is. So life is like changed just from coming to Florida because we are now the ministry that we came to just help with and serve with that gave me all my healing. Now, like I get to be a part of and like bring people in, and like I actually have responsibility there. And I know that that came from God. So my strength also comes from the actual seeing the healing that comes to people that do serve
Right.
others, because it's not it is about yourself. You have to take care of yourself, because if you're not taking care of yourself, then obviously you
Right.
cannot take care of anybody else. But when you like kind of like take a step back and go, hey, yeah, I've been through these things of the world, but look at this person over here and how can I lift them up? It gives you a different kind of strength. It gives you like a refreshing, like when you can help somebody else, it makes your heart feel good. Like people say, oh, you're blessing them, but they're blessing you. Like you're
Right.
getting just as blessed by giving back. So
Exactly. Exactly. And that's a lot of why I do this, right? And it's when you say that, I used to keep my story to myself for a long time. And a good friend of mine, Chastity Marie, man, she was like, Tammy, you got to get your story out there. You got to get your story out there. And my pastor, she's been telling me that before Chastity. And I don't know why I kept it to myself, maybe shameful, maybe things like that. But then I heard
wow.
Trent Shelton say also, your transparency will lead to someone else's transformation. And I thought, man, and like you said, I heard this a lot too. If you have a pulse, you have a purpose. So
Yes, yes.
when you talk about, before you the suicide attempts, you said that you used drugs then before that too?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So when did your active addiction start, do you think?
Okay, so evaluating it now, honestly, like I was an addict of some sort from the age of 19 until 40.
Yeah.
So, and like that's something that I've realized now being here. I just didn't really think it was that big of a deal. But now when I like look at it, okay, I was smoking pot, but I was smoking pot every day. I
Right.
had to go do this every day. And then it turned to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And then when I attempted suicide, it was just like, I really didn't have the mental capacity to even know better, if that makes sense. Like I knew better, but I didn't really know better, like, and then it became, I can't deal with this or that. So it was like, okay, if I can't deal with this or that, well, I'm just going to numb it. I don't want to deal with it. And
Right.
it wasn't until I actually like got sober and like got in the word and got into the process and was like, God, this is not God's desire for my life.
Right.
If God wanted me to be dead, God would have let me die when I attempted suicide those times. If
Right.
God wanted me to not prosper and like work for his kingdom, I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now. I wouldn't be having this conversation. And so for a long time I did like live in the like condemnation, like you said. And it was like, gosh, I don't want to tell my story. I don't want people to like, I don't want people to know that. But then like the more that I've gotten healed, it's like I realized, because it used to be more of like a regret.
Right.
Like I regret that I did this, I regret that I did that. And I'm not saying, oh, I'm proud of what I did, but I
Right.
fully know now. The Bible says that, God will use everything for his glory. Like it's all like everything that happens is gonna eventually be for God's glory, one way or the other. He's gonna use it for his glory. And so now I look back at these things and I'm like, man, that was something really crazy that I did. But now the ministry that we're at, like we're on OBT in Orlando. And so that's not a good area of Orlando.
Right.
And we serve the homeless. And when it started, I was there as a volunteer. Well, now that's my heart. And I'm like, God, I get it, because we were actually homeless for 19 weeks. When COVID hit, we had
Yeah.
our car, but that was our home. There was, like because of the addiction, we lost our house, we lost our kids. The only thing we had was our vehicle and each other until God got us back out on the other side of it. But so now it's like, okay, God, thank you for getting me through it, because now I have the empathy and compassion, like I feel like there are ways that I can reach somebody because I've been on that side and I
Right.
know how that was. And
Right.
so I don't live in the condemnation anymore. I'm a new creation. Like when the light bulb finally like clicked that,
Yeah.
wow, like I am actually I'm not who I used to be, like thank you, God. But so like I don't regret it anymore. But I definitely, like I tell my husband, I'm like, we recover out loud. We
Mm.
recover out loud. Like that is part of it, because I don't claim that I'm an addict. I'm a recovering child of God.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have a struggle that I've had with drugs, but I'm not that person.
Right.
So now it's like anybody that can hear my story, if you can realize just to get personal on that part of the story, I was an IV user, like heavy IV, like that was the only way that I used it. Once it was introduced, it was like I was hooked. So for me now, because I see people that are in that spot
Mhm.
and like, thank you, Lord, that now you can use me to let somebody else know that they can get out of that. Because it is
Yes.
not me. It is not me. Okay. It is the fact that I love God and I love Jesus and I serve them and I want to please them. Like I want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant at the end of it,
Yes. Yes.
like, so I'm
Yes.
like, use me, Lord, use me however you want to, help me reach whoever you want to. So by the grace of God, there's no condemnation. So
Yeah.
it's like recover out loud and you can get through it. Like you can get through it. If I'm sitting here, like you can get through it. So
Right.
like it's literally like, don't lose your hope. Don't lose your hope.
Right. And that's what I love too. Like it's like God prepared us and we are the soldiers for him, right? We march out
Yeah.
there, like Toby Mac talks about it a lot in his songs and stuff. But the thing is that I love what you said because, like you said, you're working with the homeless, your ministry, and you were there. So you can act because, sometimes, especially, so I've been sober 19 years, right? And so
Wow.
sometimes when I share, thank you. Sometimes when I share my story, people that didn't know me are like, yeah, okay, right? You weren't that bad until I start sharing my story. And they're like,
Yeah.
really? And I'm like, yeah. So the thing is I can say to somebody, we've been through a lot of struggles, both of us, I'm listening to you and the struggles. And especially like when you said, your brain damage and that. I have a niece that actually is still, she overdosed. She's in 2019, it must have been. A man dropped her off at the hospital dead, handed her
Aw.
over. She had no oxygen to her brain, we think, for about 12 minutes, but she's alive. She has a lot of brain trauma injury and she lives in a brain trauma house. But when you share that story, then I can say, I can relate to what you're saying, you know, and you can, when we can relate to other people, they look at us in a different way, right? Like they
Yeah.
can listen to your story and be like, wow, she was homeless. Now she's ministering and she's relatable. And we can say to a homeless person, I never tell anybody I know exactly how you feel, because we
No,
don't know how somebody else feels,
no.
but I can say, I can relate to what you're saying. This is how I felt, you
Yep.
know, and then you say that and they might be like, oh, wait, somebody else feels like I feel, right? You know,
Yeah.
they felt
Yeah.
like that and now they're here, you know, it's showing them that, yes, you can get to a better place, you know, and I always like to tell people too, you know, 19 years of not drinking or drugging it's not always been easy. You know, I don't wake up every day to a rainbow and unicorn world.
Right.
You know, I say, Natalie, I say this all the time on my podcast because I think people need to know, you don't walk outside and I don't walk outside and God puts this big bubble around us and says, we're going to protect you from everything in the
No,
world.
no,
It
no,
doesn't
ma'am.
work like that. But what I do, and I'm pretty sure you do the way you talk, is I put that armor on myself before I go out to the world. You know, I
Yes,
use
ma'am.
those tools that I've been given in order to get me through my days, because we're still going to have to deal with death. We're still going to have to deal with, you know, life. We're still going to have to deal with traumas. We still have to deal with things. But once we learn that there's tools to use and things like that, it'll help get us through our days, you know? And so in the morning time, do you have like a morning thing that you do to get through your mornings to start your day?
That's funny you said that. So we actually my husband and I actually met in Celebrate Recovery
Okay, awesome.
4 years ago.
Awesome.
So a couple months ago, I just kind of out of nowhere was like, I want to order the Celebrate Recovery Study Bible. And
Okay.
so we've actually put a new, God has this funny sense of humor with me because I was always a night out anyway, right?
Yeah.
So like now we're the old people now. Okay, 8:30. It's no, it's time for bed. Like it's 8:30 used to be, oh, let's get ready to go out. And now it's
Right.
like, no, it's time to go to bed. I'm tired. So, but there are so many nights that I will wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And used to that was turn on the TV, watch something, whatever. Well, since being here, like I listen to the Bible every night when I go to sleep.
Okay.
It plays because that to me protects me in my sleep, that I am still guarded by the word of God and I'm protected. But so some nights I'll just wake up out of the blue and I'm like, I'll run to the restroom and I'll fall right back asleep. There's other nights that it's like, okay, God wants to have a conversation with me because
Right.
I'm laying here, I'm wide awake, like, okay. And I'll go to the Bible and just open it to whatever. But so I ordered those Celebrate Recovery Bibles. And now we have actually started, we get up in the morning and gym is part of our day, but we've changed it a little bit because it used to be like I would get up, I'd read a devotional in my Bible app, and then we'd run out the door to the gym. And then at some other point of the day, I would get into the devotional. So
Right.
now me and Brandon, we get up every morning and we come straight to the desk with our Celebrate Recovery Bible and we read out of the Bible and then we'll read like a lesson to go with it. And to
Awesome.
me, that's me fighting the devil before the sun comes up. Like
Yeah.
before I ever step out of the house, before I ever step out of my room, I am using my spiritual weapon, which is the word, and I'm putting it in me because that's something that I've been taught at the church too, being here is the word needs to be in you. We can speak the word, but that is actually our one weapon. Like if you go to Ephesians 6, our one actual offensive weapon is the word. We can fight the devil with the word. All of the other ones are defensive weapons, like the helmet, the shield, all of it is a defensive weapon. But that word is our actual weapon to like fight things, to even fight mindsets, to fight your mindset, to fight attacks that you feel like are coming from the outside. So I love it because it actually like gets me like, okay, Lord, what are we doing today? You know, like, all right, like use me, show me where we're gonna go. So that's our routine now is, and then we do it at night. I have a Celebrate Recovery devotional. It's a 365-day devotional. And so we read that we pick and choose, but we always read one or the other. We do one in the morning and one at night.
Nice.
So and even my husband, he's like, I really like this Bible because he's a New King James. That's what he's always learned. And this one is New International Version. So it's a little bit different wording, but what I like about it is because recovery doesn't necessarily mean you're a drug addict. And
Right.
that's why I like Celebrate Recovery, because Celebrate Recovery, it can be abuse, it can be it can be any kind of hurt or anything that you need to recover from. And like one of the leaders of Celebrate Recovery even says the original 12 steps came out of the Bible.
Right.
And so I'm like, I love this Bible because it has verses that go with the steps. And so, it's like aligned with my word and my truth and my God. And it's also recovery. And it's just, that's actually been something that, like, when my husband says, "Hey, I like this," I'm like, yes, like, okay, so
Yeah.
that's pretty much our routine. And then we're off the door to the gym and whatever the day has for us. So
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then another thing that I practice, just to add to that, is I also do gratitude every day.
okay.
And I try to tell people that, especially, when you're struggling and you wake up in the morning and it's the same struggle that you went to bed with, right? For people. But if you can wake up, I tell them, at least wake up and just take a deep breath and just be grateful that you got to take that deep breath.
Right.
I
Right.
just had a friend comment. I don't know what I posted the other day, but just about like getting through things. And he went this long paragraph of stuff that he's going through and how am I supposed to get through this? And I ended up and I just heard it that day, the whole pulse and purpose. I've heard it so many times before, but for some reason that day I heard it. And so I messaged him that, like, listen, if you have a pulse, you have a purpose. Your struggle right now is hard. I get it, but I can relate to it again, right? But if we can, I told him, I said, he's like, I don't know what it is every day I wake up to. I said, well, you wake up, you take a deep breath and you open your eyes. So there's two things that you need to be grateful for, and I think that gratitude just helps us to get through our days and through your Christianity and things like that. I know your gratitude's there when you're reading it, you're grateful you can read it, and I think people forget. We get so tied up in the world. Like you said, you were following the world before, that it actually drains us. You look at and social media, as much, I have such a love-hate relationship with social media. I use it for my businesses, my podcast and all that, because I need to at the same time, and I use it to encourage people. But at the same time, for some people, I could keep my focus where it needs to be, but for some people, it's such a highlight reel of people's lives that they feel less than,
and then they compare.
That's what I was just
And
going to say.
that is that, like, I think it was yesterday, Teddy Roosevelt, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
And so that's where, with the social media, I'm like you, like, I have a love hate, because what I put out there, I want it to give God glory and I want it to encourage you. But I also have caught my own self in that comparison mode, like, man, what are they doing different than I'm doing? Or like, why? Like, and so, like, I have to remind myself, like, the only person you need to compare yourself to is yourself. Yes. Are you better today than you were yesterday? Are you better in this moment? Or what can you do to be better in this moment, to be a better person, to have a better character? It's not about this guy over here that has the mansion, because this guy over here that has the mansion may not know God and may be the most miserable person you've ever met. It's about your own, it's about making yourself better. Yeah. So I have a love-hate there too.
Yeah. And so I like to talk about that a lot, because I think people need to know, those highlight reels. You have those people there holding their baby at the beach, or like you said, the mansion, and then the next day they're getting divorced, and you're like, wait a minute, yesterday you were at the beach in love.
I thought you were so happy.
Yeah, exactly. And I had my son talked about this. It was New Year's Eve, and I have good friends of mine that they've lost their daughter to an overdose, and then their grandson passed away just a couple years ago now, 2 years ago, or maybe last year. But my son must have been 2 years ago. New Year's Eve, he was at their house, right? The grandma and grandpa's house with their son and everything like that. And then later he went to another house, which is a mansion, which they have all this money and all this. He said, he called me on New Year's Day. He's like, I just saw something and realized how much money doesn't matter. He's like, I was at this party where they've lost a daughter and a grandchild, and we had the best time that they could, right? They were happy, just enjoying life, right? He's like, I went to this other house where they have the cars and the boats and they go to trips and all that. He's like, they were miserable, Mom. I said, yeah. It goes, because that's what people think. Oh, they got money, so they're happy, or they got this and they're happy. And it's all about our mindset and where we place our things, right? Like you and
Yeah.
God's number one in my life too, and God's number one in your life. And I tell people, everybody has different faiths, every
Yeah.
faith, every religion says this though: do unto others as you have them do unto you. Do the golden rule, plain and simple.
That's right.
Be a
That's
good
right.
person. Be out there to help other people,
Yeah.
And so I just like people to know that Facebook, that TikTok, that Instagram, Twitter, those are all social media. Social media. It's not, this is real life always.
Right.
I just think people need to know that, because people don't throw out there like the miserable things they're going through. I'll put out there, like, if I'm having a bad day, people are gonna know it, because I'm gonna post something. They're gonna be like, wait, are you okay? Like, yeah, I'm okay. You know what? But I'll reach out for people for prayers. But I just like people to really realize, social media is social media. It's media. What is the media?
Yeah. Yeah. Media can go either way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, thanks for sharing that with me too, about, the love-hate relationship with it, because I think that's pretty powerful. So,
But you have to be careful, because like you said, it can definitely be a highlight reel. It can
right.
also take up too much of your time. It
Yes.
also, what you're putting out there, are you putting out something that's a seed of hope for somebody, or are you putting out something negative? And are you representing anything well?
Right.
Like for me, it's God. Am I representing God right now? Because I don't want it to be for me, because
Right.
I want people to understand I fully know that I'm sitting here today because God has a purpose for me. It's just like you said, if I have a pulse, I have a purpose.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't mean that I don't have bad days,
Right.
or that, that I don't have struggles. I mean, my family's just been through a struggle, but the difference is that we have grown in our walk with God. And so because of that, we have the tools to fight. Like you said, like we have the tools. Like a couple of years ago, me and my husband were together. We were coming out of addiction, but we both believed in God, and we both believed in Jesus, but we were not serving in any type of capacity. And to be quite honest, he graduated from Bible school. I've read the Bible, but I didn't really like comprehend the Bible.
Right.
And so until I got in it myself, and I had that desire, and I had that, like, it's like the quest to understand and know, I didn't have the right tools. So now, yes, I have bad days, I have bad moments. Well, everybody is going to have, those moments, but for me, it's about God's letting me be here. God's letting me breathe. So God, what do you want me? Show me what you want me to do. Use me how you want to use me. When I speak, let it be something that somebody else will catch, that they'll catch the fire. And I'm not here to condemn anybody, and everybody's walk is different. Like my pastors have got a much greater walk than I do. They've been doing that for 25 years. So
Right.
my desire is to get closer to God, and to hopefully have other people see that God can help them, that they don't have to be alone, because that was like I had abandonment issues from a very early age. And so I never like, even when we first got here, one of the pastors would say, he's your daddy. Well, when you compare God to an earthly daddy who wasn't there,
Right.
you're going to be really confused,
Yes.
and that's just, and so, I mean, that's literally like, I had to understand it myself. I had to, and I had, like I said, I had read the Bible before, but it was a different desire in my heart. It was the desire of knowing that I obviously have a purpose because I'm still breathing,
Right.
So what is the purpose? Help me
Right.
fulfill the purpose.
Yeah.
And so, like, my husband, our 3 words right now are peace, passion, and purpose.
Nice.
Peace in God, passion with God, and purpose in God.
There
And
you go.
so, to me, it's just like I look for the good in everything. I
Mhm.
didn't used to be that way. And that's a mind shift too. That can come from God or not God. To me, obviously it's God, it's my spirit. It's my
Right.
spirit that
Right.
I'm tapping into rather than my flesh.
Yes.
But I literally, like, I don't wake up in a good mood sometimes, but I'll go outside and I'll see a flower and be like, wow, like,
Yeah.
God, that is a beautiful flower. And I mean, I know that's simple and that might sound silly, but literally in that moment, that reminds me, like, look at the beautiful flower, like, look at the details, like God is in the details, like, and a lot of it really is mindset, but you don't have to be alone. Like, even if you don't know God, I'm here or you're there, you know, like reach out to somebody, because that was one of the things was I felt so alone that I
Mm.
felt like there was nowhere else to go. There was nothing else to do. And now looking back, I'm like, thank you, Lord, that you did not, that you didn't let me go. You
Yes.
know, so I just want people to understand that somebody's always listening. You may feel like nobody's listening. You know, you may be in your head fully convinced that nobody cares. Somebody cares. Somebody out there is going to be heartbroken if something happens to you. Somebody out there is going to be heartbroken if you die of an overdose, or you know, or if you kill yourself. Like somebody, it's not just about you. It is, but it isn't, because somebody out there needs you. God has a purpose for you because you're breathing, and somebody out there, you can reach somebody else and change their whole life.
Yeah. I love what you said about the flower, and you did take a picture the other day of a beautiful flower. Right? Yeah.
That's my
I thought
favorite color. I was like, man.
Yeah, when you said that, I'm like, I'm pretty sure she took that picture the other day, and that was a beautiful. The detail in that flower was beautiful.
And
You
to be
know,
honest, I was in a kind of grouchy mood, and I came walking by, and I'm like, look at that purple flat light. And there it was. I was like, okay, God, thank you. You
yeah,
gave me a beautiful
exactly.
purple flower, you know, like,
You know,
and it
and that
literally is the smallest thing sometimes. I'm like, wow, thank you for changing my mind. You know, I
yeah,
was in a grumpy mood or whatever. So
right,
yeah.
right. I call those God winks. You know,
Yep, yep.
I mean, even
I have some friends that's a God wink.
yeah. And the thing is that we need to pay attention to those things too around us. You know, it's like my friend Josh, unfortunately, he took a Percocet in 2020 and it was fentanyl and he passed away.
Mm,
And he was like
no.
one of my best friends in the world. And so I miss him so much. And some days, you know, it's like you want to pick up the phone and call him and, you know, you can't. And then him and I love Toby Mac, and Toby Mac will come on the radio. Or
There you go.
Reckless Love by Corey Asbury was our song. I have it tattooed on my arm. And it's like that song. And that came on twice the other day. I was having a day and I was driving and both songs came on. And I was like, of course, thank you, God, you know, for reminding me.
Yeah.
Josh is right here next to me. So, you know, Natalie, I've enjoyed speaking with you so much. It's been so much fun, enlightening. And, you know, like you said to everybody, you're not alone. I mean, I know, you know, Brene Brown, she's a motivational speaker. She was doing an interview with Oprah not too long ago. Well, it's probably a few years ago, but they were talking about, even though she had all of this presence around her, you know, people reaching out to her, everything like that, she still felt alone. And I get that, you know, we can feel alone because of what we're going through or whatever, but just know this is why we share hope, that you're not alone. You know, there's somebody's going through something like you are, or somebody's going through something worse than you are. You know, they say we take our problems, we throw them in a pile, we're going to go grab our own problem back. Because,
Exactly.
you know, you're somebody else and you're like, dang.
You know what? I don't like that one. I don't like that
I'm
one.
go ahead and take mine back.
Take mine back.
Give it back. So,
Right.
you know, I just want people to know you're not alone in your struggles, you know, and get out there and share your story. You know, your story is powerful, and there's nobody that's going to listen to Natalie's story and be like, man, I don't want to be around her, you know, listen to what happened to her. No, you're going to hear her story and you're going to be like, dang, I want to be around somebody like this that's been through it, but has survived and gotten through it, right? By the grace of God, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Grace is one of my most favorite songs ever. You know, in the part where he says, saved a wretch like me, I mean, man, you know, when you talk about broken, beaten, you know, feeling worthless,
Yeah.
God intervened, and here we are today offering hope. So
That's
is there any
right.
last little thing you want to say to anybody, Natalie?
Just don't give up. Just like don't give up. Just keep going. Just keep going. And since we kind of talk about recovery, sometimes it literally is 1 second at a time. It doesn't have to be even 1 day at a time, because I'm in recovery and I've not been in recovery as long as you have, but there are still moments where, and it's not even my desire, but a flash will go through and it's like, oh, I've got to catch this thought in this moment and give it over. I cannot allow this thought to keep going. So I just want you to be encouraged that even if it's that 1 second that you stop and you pause and you take that breath, and you just take that breath and just stop. It's just pause. Like, that's the other thing, is don't be so busy in the world that you can't pause and like take a break for yourself, because that's another like lesson that's kind of coming around for us right now, is because when you come out of addiction, there's a verse that, you know, the idle hands are the devil's workshop. So a lot of people, when they come out of addiction, they find something else. And so it can turn into another type of addiction. It may not be technically unhealthy, like a drug or alcohol, but you can get so focused on busy, 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 busy that you're still numbing whatever needs to be healed. And
Yeah.
so I just take an inventory, and you don't, like, I had a therapist tell me one time, don't make a list of 25 things you want done in a day, because you're probably not going to get all 25 done. And
Right.
then you're going to be kicking yourself because, man, you're going to talk negatively to yourself. And for what? So he was like, make a list of 3 things. And even if it's one thing, if the one thing today is, you know what, today I'm going to get out of bed, do it. And then pat yourself on the back. Hey, I got out of bed. I accomplished something. So take it from the big giant, like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with having goals, but sometimes you need to have a small goal to encourage yourself to move to the next goal. You can get to the top of the staircase, but it's one step at a time. You can't jump all the stairs. So I guess that's the, just don't give up.
Great.
Take that one step.
That's it. Take that one step. And it's real quick that you just touched on that about being so busy. I've said this before. I always say busy people are happy people. It's kind of like a thing that I say, because you don't have time to not be happy, which is true. But the problem is like you said, then you're just burying everything and you're never dealing. And I friends of mine that have been so busy, and then I see them getting this funk, and I'm like, listen, my pastor Nancy told me this one time. She's like, be careful. The devil will keep you so busy that you'll go right away from what you're supposed to be doing. And it's so true. And I've learned that. And I've had to sit back, like you said, take a deep breath and just be,
And that's not easy either. That's not, I mean, believe me, coming from that, because that used to be my thought process. If I sit here and I'm idle, oh my gosh, I'm going to get into trouble. That used to be the thought process. But like in the last couple of weeks, it's definitely been like even from our leaders, is like, you guys need to like slow down. You need to like realign. You need to tap back into like, your purpose and God. And for my husband, he is like, I'm the stay-at-home wife. Okay. So I like handle whatever he needs done in the background. But he was got to get to this appointment, got to go. And so it turned into, like you said, stuffing stuff down, and you don't even realize it. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with being, what's the word I'm looking for? I lost the word. Okay, so instead of being busy all the time, productive. There we go. There's nothing wrong with being productive, but don't make yourself so busy, because first of all, you're going to numb things, and you're going to overwhelm yourself without even realizing it. And then that's when the trouble starts. So take it easy. You can have your goals, but just take it easy, like moderation.
There you go. Awesome. Well, Natalie, once again, thank you so much for getting on Hope with me today. I really appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for tuning in to Hope. You can, listen to this on Apple, Spotify, Audible. If you do jump on Apple or Spotify, if you do me a favor and maybe leave some comments, that'd be awesome. And also I do have the YouTube channel. So just like I said, I'm hoping today you heard Natalie's story, and if you're laying in bed and you just don't think you can get through the day, you can, just take a deep breath. Get out of bed, maybe step outside, take a deep breath, whatever your weather is, just take a deep breath and know that you have a purpose to be here. So you guys all have an amazing day, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.